You're very welcome to Old Cottage, and if you stay to the end, you'll see how my knitting has progressed. I'm almost there. Wow, I make no apologies for the heavy breathing, okay? I've been sweeping and clearing, and I'm sort of almost there, okay? So that's how it's looking. Been sweeping these paths and cutting back right to the stones, right to the edging, cutting back a lot more of the plants up there, and so I've got another pile to move. I'll show you all the stuff that I've moved now. Whew! Look at that. Big pile up now behind the water barrels. So, all that'll biodegrade down in time. I've got some sticks of willow there I need to pull out because that's going to make kindling. But all in good time. So, thus far, it's definitely progressed. And I'm going to sit down now in that blue chair and have a wee bit of a breather, as they say. So, this is the final. Well, I say final. No, it's not, because I'll be doing some more tidying up and cutting back and cleaning. But as you can see, there's a lot more space and everything's been sorted. Not bad. 2 days' work. Well, a morning's work and an afternoon's work. So, as well as getting the tunnels sorted out, there's been a bit of sorting out down in the woodland. Mainly because about 3 months ago, during a summer storm, 2 quite large, in fact one was very large, willow trees came down. Now they didn't break, because that rarely happens with willow, but what happened, they sort of uprooted themselves and fell over, and fell at such an angle with the weight on them that they damaged some of the younger trees coming up. So I'm going to take you along this path and show you what's been done. My son came up with the chainsaw and we worked together, and he took the heavy bits off and logged them, and all the slim and kind of thin bits at the top put through the shredder, and we made a path. So this is it. So this is the first time since about June or July that I've actually walked along this path, because it was blocked in 3 different places with willow. So you can see now that there's one big chunk has been taken off. You can see that angle, it was just completely blocking the path. And, it was really good just working down here in the woodland, because, again, you go to a part of your woodland that you haven't been to in a while, and everything has changed, and the energy has changed. And that's what trees do. They create this incredible energy. So everything changes and evolves, and it's all feeling as though it's been renewed, which is wonderful. That's looking back along the path. So this path runs parallel with the swale or the ditch, which you'd see on the map. Talking about maps, a little update on the calendar. Now, Aidan, the fantastic guy at the printers in Carrick, who does all the putting together of the calendar for me, he's been off with a sore back. Last time I spoke with him, actually, he was really in quite a lot of pain. So it's going to delay the calendar by a little while. I'm hoping that something will be ready for me to post on the website next week. This is a little habitat pile, look, that we've made for all the little mammals and birds. As that breaks down, there'll be kindling to take out of it this time next year. And there's some of the willow logs. Now, they do take a good while to dry out, but when they do, as I've said many times before, the heat from them is fierce, really is. Now, someone mentioned in one of the comments about not using the tunnel to dry wood in because the tunnel was too humid. Well, as you can see from all my cleaning up of the tunnel, both doors are permanently open. There's a breeze comes through here all the time, so humidity doesn't build up. And of course, I know I might just be a woman, but I do know that you cannot dry out wood in a humid atmosphere. But I think the person who left that comment, in all good faith, probably was fairly new to the channel and hadn't seen the fact that the doors are open here, all the year round. So I carried on down through the woodland here and just come into the little bridge across the stream. It reminded me of when my childhood at this particular point, because we lived in the town in Omagh, County Tyrone in Northern Ireland, all the way through the Troubles, which was pretty traumatic. And we had very little money. We were at the very bottom of the pecking order. We were greatly impoverished, which actually, in retrospect, in hindsight, is probably the reason why I don't have a big issue about money. Those of you who know me will know I have a tiny pension of a little over €50 a week. And I'm just a very happy person. It's, I always say I have enough, and whatever I earn from my writings, my scribblings, that's fantastic. But I do share a lot of it out. I don't hang on to anything. But I think it's because of my childhood that I realise what is really important in life. And yet money is a means to an end. That's what it is. If you need something, it's there. And I don't know where I was going with this. I was just thinking, sort of a stream of consciousness flow there. Oh, it'll come back to me. Oh yes, the water, standing over the water. When we were small children, if any of us got ill, my father would cycle about 4 or 5 miles out the road to a place called the Rock Cutting. The Rock Cutting was a place where spring water just erupted from this rocky outcrop, and my father would cycle out there with bottles and bring back spring water. So I've always known about the magic of spring water, and the fact that it's coming out from a spring usually means that it's very old water, it's very ancient, like this. This is coming from the spring in the Fairywood. The water that feeds the cottage, I may add, comes from a different spring further up the hill and is gravity fed. The colours of autumn are just developing so wonderfully well. And you know, up here, there's just a peep through past that fuchsia onto the field next door, which was what the Cottage was years ago. It was just 3 small fields with the cottage at the top of the hill. Hard to believe that now. I always think that. When I walk around in the morning with my coffee and have my little walk and think meditation, I'm always amazed at how this looks as though it's just been here forever. I can't imagine it being anything else. So for a fair bit of today, I've just been sat down resting. I felt a wee bit tired, actually, as I think over the past few days I have been working very hard. Saturday, Sunday and yesterday were spent in quite a lot of quite hard physical work. And so today's a little bit of a rest day, so I've been sat knitting and almost got the jumper finished. And as I've been knitting, I've been talking with my mother, who was a fantastic knitter. I have these chats with Mum on a regular basis, and I do feel her presence very strongly. Here's my coffee cup. I sat that in the tree for a little while. The other thing I wanted to say is quite simply this. I don't allow advertising of any kind on this channel. And I would never resort to that either. And if you do feel that you can support me on Patreon, then that's wonderful. And I thank you very much. And a big thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. I've made about 1,200 videos, and none of them have any advertising on them. And I just think that that's right, because I don't want anything to take away from what it is that I promote, which is quite simply woodlands, planting, and being really observant and respectful towards Mother Earth. I think advertising would ruin that. A little update on my jumper. I'm doing the neck of it now. I've stitched up part of it. This is a raglan jumper, so I'm doing the neck, and then I'll be ready to stitch up the rest of it. I spent a lot of the morning talking to my mother, who, as you know, drifts around the other world. Because she was just an ace knitter, you know. Normally I'd be able to call her and say, "Mum, I have a problem. Talk me through this pattern." But anyway, we figured it out together. I felt that she was mostly laughing at me. But anyway, you can see here with the pattern, look, where I've been marking things off, and I know. But hey ho, it makes me happy to create something that hopefully will just be stunning on me. There you go, ever the optimist. Built in a cottage when I first saw it, And this is the view from the cottage, from the road up to the cottage. And this is the view from the cottage down towards the road.